How y'all doing? How's everything going? Happy Thanksgiving. I titled this A Few Things I'm Thankful for Part 1 because I have a run to do, which I am going to be doing in about 6 hours. So I'm probably going to do a Part 2 sometime after that run. But I wanted to do a Part 1. I've started to like to do these videos at this time. It's a constructive way to combat a weird sleep schedule and the fact that for some reason a lot of people tend to hop on my page at this time of night or day, whatever the time happens to be for you in your area of wherever you happen to be at, right? So have you ever lived a life and then had to pivot and found in a completely different place? And I don't mean in a good way, because I would love to live the life that I'm living now and then play the Powerball or something, win it, and then all of a sudden quit my job in epic fashion and just figure out how to live life the way that I've always wanted to live it. That kind of change. But that kind of change happening for somebody is once in a lifetime. Hi, Vicky. I don't even play the Powerball, to be honest. Like, I think I've got some of those scratch off lotto tickets before, but I don't really play the lotto like that. But anyways, not even the point of me saying that. The point of me saying that is that most of the time when we have to make big pivots in life, it's not due to good things happening. It really isn't. When major changes occur, the majority of the time they are tough ones. And I had to endure two very tough ones, okay? I've spoken about my dad before many times. I've spoken about my situation with him in terms of just the life part of it, in terms of just taking care of him, his diagnosis, his passing. I've talked about that side of the coin. What I haven't talked as much about, I didn't always have the best relationship with my dad. Was it the worst relationship? No. It's not like, I lived with him, so it wasn't like we were on some energy where we don't speak, or it wasn't like anything like that. I know there's people that have had worse things going on, but many things we just didn't see eye to eye on. And I feel like through talking to other people who have had African fathers, or have African fathers, it's somewhat of a cultural thing too, where the relationship is less buddy. Not that it has to be, but it's more about, this is what you need to be doing with your life. I don't agree with this. You need to do that. Blah blah blah. All the way deep into your life, not just early on, but whatever age, right? He just didn't like anything that I was really doing with my life, and I shouldn't say he didn't like anything I was doing with my life, but he was very materialistic, and the success of my life depended on like face value, money. He wanted to see me achieve a certain amount, otherwise he was gonna shrug his shoulders and be kind of unimpressed. That's a whole long story, but anyways, long story short, shorter version of it, I remember we were particularly kind of at odds before he got sick. And he had a mini stroke one day. Went to the hospital. My mom called me and said, your dad is in the hospital. He had a mini stroke. This was in November of 2019. And while he was in the hospital, my mom spoke to me one day and said, your dad has early onset dementia. And she said, it's something that's going to progressively get worse and not get better. And I'm going to need you to help me with taking care of him. And I said, I'll do as much as I can. And it was a hard ask, because it would be different if she was the one with the early onset dementia, because just based on the things that she has done for me in life, which were a lot more than what he did, right? The things that I tell everybody that he's done for me are true, but I also have to draw from what I appreciate of him, more so than having a big list of things like did this for me, paid for my school bills, and went to my sporting events. Those are things that my mom did. My mom did a lot of things. My mom was in some senses the mom and the dad for a lot of things. She really was. So when she told me she would need help at some point taking care of him, I felt like he didn't take care of me, so I don't really want to do that. That's really how I felt, authentically. And so I remember when he got back in the house, he took a little time. I think he might have done some rehab at that time. He was kind of back on his feet. He was psychologically impaired a little bit, because you don't just bounce back from a mini stroke 100%. Especially, he was in his late 60s and he had some other health things going on. But he was relatively able to take care of himself, with a little bit of assistance from my mom when she came from work, because my mom was still working. Then he had a full stroke the next year, I think July of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Then he didn't come back as the same person that he was. Then he actually needed help. My mom was like, he can't be left alone anymore after this stroke. So I remember just my natural compassion, right? Everyone went through the red light. Anyways, just my natural compassion. I was like, I can't just leave him like that. At that point, it didn't really matter what he's done for me, what he's not done for me, how I feel about this or how I feel about that. I remember I actually took some months off work and made an agreement with my mom. I was going to stay with him during this time period, full time. Aside from the days that she was off work, but let's say 4 to 5 days a week, I was going to stay with him, watch him, make sure he took his medications, help him get his food together, in some cases feed him, so there was a lot that I was doing for him at that time. And he, during that time, I had to realize was actually a different guy. Because during that time period, he used to tell me he was so thankful for me. He used to tell me I'm a good son. He's proud of the man that I've become. He used to tell me he loves me. He used to tell me all kinds of things. He used to tell me all kinds of things that he didn't tell me when he was well. And when he first started telling me those things, I was like, is this because he's sick? But then when I saw him interact with others, if you have ever experienced caretaking for somebody who has dementia, for some people, that's the realest time of their life. Because even though he was telling me all these nice things, he wasn't like that with everybody. Like, he would see somebody and be like, look at that fat woman. Like, his filter was gone. His filter was raw. He would say things that were like, wow. But when he spoke to me, it wasn't like that. It was much nicer than how he ever spoke to me in my life, because he used to just wow out on me with these lectures and angry speeches that he would give me over different things. What is happening with this? I don't know. You can still hear me, I hope. Body matters. Right in the middle of COVID. Yeah. So anyways, I am getting to a point that doesn't really have much to do with this, but I am giving the background of the story. So essentially, we developed this bond in these last 2 years of his life, 2 to 3 years of his life, that otherwise might not have been had, because we would never have been put in that position to have spent all that time together. That was probably the most time I ever spent with him in totality. And I don't just mean, when I say time spent, I don't just mean we're in the same place, we're in the same house, we're at the same event. Not that kind of time. It was the most like me and him just sitting down together in the house for hours type of time that I had ever spent with him in my whole life, probably. It was the most conversations that we ever had that weren't about this is what job you should have, or this is how much money you should have, or those kind of things. Achievement, academics, those are the main things that he used to talk about, but in my adult life anyways. So I'm thankful for that time. Now the other thing that I was going to say, the main thing I was going to say, is that I'm thankful that I have actually been able to pivot, because going from that life, there was a time when that was my whole life. I mean, it's hard to explain. I mean, I say this all the time, I don't have any kids, right? But in the mental state that he was in, he had regressed to basically being childlike, to where couldn't leave him alone. I had to get all his stuff ready. I had to help him get dressed. I had to help him get in and out of the bathroom. I had to help him with getting his food, making sure that he was eating his food. Why is my camera not working? Sorry about that, y'all. But I want to finish the video. My camera's not working. Anyways, second. I can finish it without the camera. That's fine. yeah, so basically, often whatever I had to do with him. And then even when he went to the nursing home and he was in his hospice care stage, I was still like, I can't really stray too far from home because I always have to be concerned about something further happens to him, or if he falls down, not falls down, but if his health goes down some, that type of thing. And then after he passed, I was like, what do I do now? Because so much of my life was invested in him, in everything that's going on with him. Whether that was when he was home when I was taking care of him, or whether that was nursing home visits, etc. I was like, what do I do from here? And I just didn't know. And people would speak to me, they would give me advice, they would give me different tips, but I was just like, what does life look like without this foundational person? In my life, who was here for my whole life. And I just didn't know. What I did was I was like, just keep going. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what my life is going to materialize into. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know anything about anything because this is my first time experiencing this significant of a loss. Sure, I've had some heavy L's. I lost one of my closest friends when I was 19 years old. I lost him in a car wreck. My grandfather in 2009, who was probably the most honorable and influential men that have ever been in my life, for sure. But this one hit different, of course. Like, this one hit different from other losses that I had previously. So I just, like I said, I just put my head down. I kept moving. I was able to, man, I went through a lot of things at work. I left my old job. I left a little too early because I did have to spend a little bit of time without a job because of thinking that this next offer was coming in. And then, that was the whole thing. But I started a new job. But after my dad passed, I was like, man, I don't want to deal with hospitals, nursing homes, any of that, because it's so triggering. And then I got a job where it's like every month I'm in somebody's hospital or nursing home visiting one of my clients, several of my clients, not just one. And at first that was so triggering, but at this stage, I'm in a decent place, like I'm thankful for the fact that I've been able to keep pushing. I never really had a full stop or like a breakdown to an extent of not being able to live my life at all. And, I've been able to be strong for myself and for my family, my loved ones, and, just been able to be a source of support, even, and encouragement for others who have gone through similar things as me after me and before I had even experienced that. I'm just a very sympathetic person, and yeah, that's what I got for part one. I could make a longer part one, but like I said, I got a race in the morning. Well, later in the morning, because it's morning now. And at that point in time, I'll be doing a part two. Hopefully, my camera is going to work at that time. I don't understand this because my camera was working. My camera was working just fine when I started this video, and then it just turned off. Like, I feel like they make these phones to break not long after you buy them, because I bought this phone in January. This is crazy. Anyways, have a good night, y'all. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel for when I drop some more great content. Good night.